Hey everybody, here for the Love and Hip Hop Hollywood reunion part 2. I know I'm like way off doing it, but I want to do it and get out the way so I can get to Love and Hip Hop New York. It begins with Hazel and Masika having beef or whatever. Masika feels away because Hazel made mention of her daughter, and she's basically like, there's no song with Fetty Wap, and then Nina asked her, well, do you know Fetty? She's like, I don't know Fetty, but sometimes that's what you do in the industry. You make records with people, and they send it, and then you rap over the track. That's what you do. That's, it's creative. So Masika is like throwing shade at her, and they're going back and forth, and Nina's like, well, clearly y'all are not going to resolve this, which they're not. If Hazel, I think if Hazel would have like apologized for saying what she said about Masika's daughter, then it wouldn't have been this much drama. But the dumb two ladies have not liked each other since season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. So it is what it is. So now we get to Safari and his accent. And Rosa is like, I just find him corny. I just think he's corny or whatever. And, the only reason why he's on this show is for a come up or whatever. So Safari called Rosa something. I don't know what it was, it must have been disrespectful because Nina told him, she's still a lady, you still have to respect her. But I'm like, okay, Rosa was sitting up there insulting him and he said nothing. He just took it. But for you know, Nina, I mean, I understand Nina's like, you gotta be respectful. She's a woman still. But Safari didn't say anything to her or about her the whole time, but Rosa was just throwing ultimate shade towards him. So Nikki is like, well, in order for Safari to be with anybody, he has to get himself together. He has to, get himself together, get himself straight before he could be with anyone. So we go to um like a brotherly bond or whatever. Safari apologizes to Rosa, and naturally Fizz and Nikki still going back and forth shading each other. So then we get to Willie and Shonda. And Willie is like, nothing went on between him and Kaisha. Kaisha is telling her side of the story and how they was messing around for all this time or whatever. How she took care of Willie and they dated. And Willie is like, no, we never dated. We probably had sex here and there, but we never dated. So she's like, me and Shonda was pregnant at the same time or whatever. And Jason is basically like, well, I saw the text or whatever, and, Kaisha is clearly lying and blah, 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 blah. So, Shonda basically says that her and Willie are still separated. Like, they haven't divorced, but they're separated. And I'm like, Kaisha basically came on this show to try and tell her side, but nobody really cares. And it does look, she looks very thirsty. Like, why now? Why of all times now you want to say something if it's been going on for 12 years? So now we get to Brandy and Masika, and of course they're going back and forth, and Moniece is saying that Max had a baby by on Brandy, and they didn't really go into further details with that. It was kind of ignored, and they saying this allegations or whatever, and Brandy is name dropping, saying that of course she's Whitney Houston's goddaughter and Beyonce is her best friend, and I'm like, well, I don't think Beyonce gonna be your friend no more after she see how ratchet you are on this show. So now we get to A1 and Lyrica, and A1 feels like the beef came from Lyrica's mom. Um, they feel like, because I mean, Lyrica G she was doing the most. Like, she was like a kid who wanted attention so bad. And it's like, I can understand, it's just you and Lyrica, that's all it's been with y'all growing up. But your daughter has her own husband, she has her own life. You gotta let go at some point. So the update reveals that Lyrica and Pam, they like each other. They're cool. Pam compliments Lyrica. She just felt like Lyrica G was holding her back. Lyrica wanted her mom to back off some. And Lyrica G is like, well, she wouldn't be the lady she is today without how I trained her. And they like trained her. She's like, well, you know what I mean. I trained her. They're like, you mean you raised her? She's like, well, yeah, that's what I mean. So they were talking about lipo and all of that and implants and you know Lyrica was like, well, I got my boobs done. And A1 was like, well, I wasn't going to let her go under the knife without doing something. So she went and got her implants. I went and got my lipo. And they were like, well, y'all still look good. I'm like, listen, this is LA. That's what they do. So then they start talking about Tierra Marie and her law troubles. Her trial is pushed back and she didn't take the plea. You know, she's scared, but she'll fight it. She didn't think this was a big deal, but it turns out that it is. She admits that she has a drinking problem. And they even asked Ray J if he saw any, you know, remnants of her having a drinking problem when him and her were together. And he said no. And somebody was like, well, the reason why he didn't see a drinking problem with her is because her drinking problem seemed like it didn't come until after they broke up, which could be true. Because Tierra, she was drinking like a fish since this show started airing. So, you know, she's like, well, I have been doing better. I don't drink like that. And, you know, I'm just trying to fight this case, win it so I can move on with my life. So then they get to last words and highlights. You know, Fizz is shouting out the men and saying that he likes how they bonded this season. Nia just hopes that the men do better and they keep the kids out of their mouths. And, you know, Safari is like, oh, you know, we should do something, try something new. He attempted to do a group hug and people like, nah, it ain't gonna work. I'm like, please bring Safari back next season because he is reality TV gold. But that was basically Love and Hip Hop Hollywood reunion part 2. Let me know how you felt about it. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.